Stop, please. Oh,
This is unbelievable.
You wanted a toast, didn't you?
it's in my eye. Ah, stop.
Whoa, look at that.
No, this cannot be happening. Not here, not tonight. Amara felt the room tilt as red wine spread across a VIP's sleeve and every eye turned on her. The accusation came fast, polite, and cruel, and security stepped in as if she were the threat. Laughter fluttered under the chandeliers. Then a hidden truth about the bottle began to surface, and the circle that tried to shame her started to unravel. Watch how a powerful guest splashed wine on a black woman, only for her to topple their empire. Welcome, story lovers. Where are you watching from? Hit the like button and drop your city name in the comments so we can see how far our story travels. Amara. Lewis moved through the Harrogate Hotel like someone who had memorized every echo. At 32, she was the lead sommelier, a title that sounded glamorous until you saw the hours behind it. She had come up from neighborhood cafes and banquet halls, studying wine late at night on buses home, saving tips to sit for exams other people financed with trust funds. The Harrogate was the kind of place that printed gold letters on menus and called its clients members, though they were vipers of old wealth in designer suits. Her life outside the chandeliers was modest and warm. She rented a bright apartment by the river, ran before sunrise, and kept a notebook where she described flavors as emotions plum, like nostalgia, cedar like calm. Sundays were for her mother's voice and her little brother's jokes. On off nights, she cooked for friends who filled the kitchen with music and gossip. Even with that steadiness, she carried a quiet alertness. Guests often glanced twice when she approached with a rare bottle as if expertise had the wrong skin. New hires mistook her for support staff, then laughed at their own surprise. A senior manager once praised her urban polish, meaning her presence made the hotel look modern. Amara swallowed those moments the way she swallowed bitter tannins, noted them, breathed through them, and kept pouring. She had earned her place, yet she knew a polished room could turn cold fast. The Harrogate was preparing for the Aurelian Gala, a fundraiser for the city's wealthiest families. Every year, the ballroom became a private universe where money congratulated itself. Amara was assigned to oversee the wine program, a high-profile honor that also meant errors would be public. She checked inventory, reviewed pairings, and reminded her team to stay flawless. The hotel shimmered with confidence, but beneath the polish, Amara felt a familiar pressure building. This kind comes before someone decides you are the problem. The gala's guest list included the Vantrells, a family known for buying rooms and breaking people. The gala opened in a wash of velvet, perfume, and jazz. Limousines slid under the porte-cochere, and donors stepped out like royalty. Amara guided her staff through final checks, lining decanters, testing temperatures, and rehearsing routes that kept service seamless. She loved these moments because excellence was visible and hers. The Vantrell party arrived late. Roland Vantrell, real estate baron, walked in with the casual gravity of someone used 2 rooms bending. His son Pierce, gala co-chair, wore a grin that felt rehearsed. He was known for flashy gifts and an icy temper. The hotel had warned everyone to be careful around them. When the Vantrells took their seats, the air tightened. During the first course, Amara approached their table with a 2008 Brunello. She introduced it crisply, speaking of soil and age. Several guests nodded without listening. Pierce watched her face instead of the bottle, scanning for weakness. She poured for the women, then Roland, then Pierce. As her wrist tilted toward his glass, he shifted his chair and struck the table edge. Wine leaped over the rim, splashing his cuff and the linen. Amara was already reaching for a cloth, already apologizing. The spill was minor, a crowded room accident. But Pierce stood abruptly, voice carrying across the ballroom. He displayed the stain as if it were betrayal. Conversations stalled. The event manager rushed in, smiling too hard. Pierce complained over Amara's shoulder, calling her careless, saying the Harrogate standards were slipping. His tone was smooth, but the message was old. People like you do not belong here. The manager apologized to him, then shot Amara a look that said, "Vanish." Security drifted closer, not toward the VIP who had caused the spill, but toward her. Guests whispered. Some smirked, some looked away. Amara tried to explain the jostle, but her words fell flat. Pierce waved her off, demanded another bottle, compensation, and a replacement server. The manager gripped Amara's elbow and guided her into the service corridor, muttering about protocol and donors, insisting she let it go. Behind them, Pierce kept performing outrage. Turning a drop of wine into a public trial in the staff lounge, her team hovered, angry and scared. Someone urged her to keep her head down. Amara felt humiliation harden into focus. She pulled up an email thread from earlier that week. Pierce had insisted on serving an ultra-rare vintage sourced from a private auction. Amara had warned the bottle might be counterfeit, missing provenance, serial patterns linked to reopened corks. The food and beverage director, pressed by donor influence, had overruled her. Now she saw the play. If Pierce painted her as incompetent, her warning would die with her. She photographed the auction invoice she had saved, checked it against the compliance binder, and found more discrepancies. Her hands shook, but not from fear. She thought of every server who had swallowed an insult to keep rent paid, every guest who assumed her badge was borrowed. Tonight she had proof, and proof could not be waved away in there. The same power mocking her was endangering the hotel and would gladly blame her for it. She asked a coworker to cover her and walked straight to the general manager's office, notes in hand, refusing to stay invisible. The general manager listened without interrupting. Then his face tightened as he scrolled through Amara's photos. He called legal counsel, then the gala's compliance officer, and the three of them walked back toward the ballroom quickly. Amara followed half a step behind, hearing her heartbeat louder than the jazz. They stopped beside the Vantrell table. Pierce was mid-performance, retelling the spill to a cluster of admirers, his stained cuff held up like a trophy. He turned, expecting another apology. Instead, the general manager asked for the Brunello bottle and the glasses for verification. Pierce laughed once, sharp and dismissive, then stiffened when the compliance officer opened a testing kit under a small ultraviolet light. The officer examined the seal, label fibers, cork branding, and serial code. The room quieted into a brittle hush. Guests leaned forward, hungry for the next twist. Pierce's smile faltered as the officer's brow furrowed. The verdict arrived calmly, almost gently. The bottle did not match the registry and showed clear signs of alteration. The compliance officer warned that serving it could violate import and licensing rules. The general manager thanked him, then turned to Pierce and stated that Amara had flagged this risk days ago, with emails and notes to prove it. He publicly named her the professional who had protected the hotel. Pierce tried to protest, but the evidence was already shared with counsel. Roland's face drained, and the power circle around them cracked in all silence as their smugness curdled into shock. After the gala, the Harrogate moved faster than gossip. Legal counsel documented the counterfeit incident, notified regulators, and cut ties with the supplier. The Vantrells offered quiet settlements and donations to keep the story small, but the hotel refused. An internal review began as well, not just about wine purchasing, but about how staff were told to handle VIP complaints when bias rode underneath them. Amara was given 2 days of paid leave, framed as recovery rather than exile. When she returned, coworkers greeted her like someone who had walked through fire. The event manager apologized, shaking as she admitted fear had made her complicit. Amara listened, steady. Yes, she understood that systems survive on ordinary people choosing safety over justice. Within weeks, the Harrogate introduced new protocols. No donor could override provenance checks, and any discrimination-tinged complaint went directly to senior leadership. Mandatory bias training became onboarding, and a staff advocacy line was created for people who felt cornered. Industry chatter spread, too. A black sommelier had protected a brand from elite arrogance, and the embarrassment had landed where it belonged. For Amara, the win was real but layered. She felt pride, anger, and a sharper sense of where power hides. She used her bonus to fund a scholarship for Black hospitality students and began mentoring trainees who looked like her. On her first night back in the ballroom, she poured a verified Brunello with calm hands, wondering how many talents the world wastes before it finally believes them.